Welcome back to the 2023 Portland Open presented by Latitude 64. We are on the Glendoveer East course for the Round 3 Back 9 Chase card. I'm Andrew Fish, joined here by Nathan Queen.
Like you said, out here on the Glendoveer East course, looking for a fun back 9 from the card that we've got here. James Proctor, not really on a heater, but a very good front 9 with 4 under par, and the rest of the card kind of hovering around even. Alden able to get to 1 under with the birdie on hole 9, but definitely going to be looking to make a push out here on the back.
Yeah, a couple scoreable holes, and you see the leaderboard still packed up. Nobody pulling away from the field at this point.
Yeah, a few players from 3rd or 4th card making their way up into that top 10.
Hole 10, 710 feet, par 4. I think the idea here is go really far. There's a lot of open space to work with. There's a mandatory that forces you to the left, but it's generous. As you get closer to the green, there's out of bounds beyond it, as well as some hazard bunkers and the green in play. So swinging hyzers from the right side are the best way to access as the basket is perched on a mound.
And if you don't think you can push straight long enough and you can go over kind of where James is at, ideally you'd like to skip a little farther left. But if you get over to those trees, it is wide open over a ball golf green into the tee that way as well if you're comfortable with the forehand.
Alden Harris not going for the roller on this shot. He's going to take the left side gap and, as you say, run off to the left. Should leave him probably a mid-range into the green. Drew Gibson smokes a shot up the left side, gets a little caress from a branch, and goes off to the left.
Yeah, he's made it past those trees I was talking about. You kind of have to place to get through. He's going to have absolutely wide open, maybe inside 300 feet.
Carter Ahrens, you see the way he accelerates into his throw. Real slow, and then fast. Explosive roller, makes the mandatory, but runs off to the left.
Not what he was looking for, but going to be in a good spot, I believe. Doesn't throw many forehands, so we may see either a high spike hyzer off to the right or a mid-range backhand turnover.
This is a touchy line from Proctor. Needs it to continue drifting to the right, but that is headed towards the out of bounds. He'll have to putt for his 4. Alden looking to correct. I believe this is the same medium stable mid-range he threw on the previous hole. Forcing it over to the right. As it comes back, it should check into the hill.
Yeah. Very well executed shot there. Really trusting that disc to fly straight, knowing that when it lands, it's not going to have much ground play.
And he made the correct mistake to pull it to the right where there was a lot more room. Carter having to go a little high to beat some of the trees. And flies to the backside of the green.
Ooh.
Does stay in.
Yeah, difficult for that to not come in long the way that he had to go high like that. So very well controlled. And good to see him not go OB there.
Well done by Gibson, taking one little scooch off the golf green and nestling onto the hillside. Proctor with really the first putting mistake we've seen yet. Air balls and has a long comebacker now.
Yeah, and this will be the first blemish on his round as well. But a very nice comeback bogey putt to make it a single blemish. Gonna move him to 3 down. Carter now with the comeback putt after a slight roll away.
And misses the putt, goes in anyway. Great catch on the right side. And good velocity going up the hill. Nothing tentative about the putt, at least.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and say that's one of the few times that she'll say good catch on these baskets.
I think they do like speedy putts coming uphill. Harris also doing that. Sticks it high in the chains.
Yeah, and he's on a good stretch right now. 3 of the last 4 to move himself 2 under par.
And I think the nature of these courses are that you can survive maybe 1 bogey per 9. You have to introduce the possibility if you're playing as aggressively as you need to win or to be on the chase card. It's when you start stacking up doubles or multiple bogeys in a row that you start feeling the effects.
Right, and we now see all of our players under par for the first time on the round. We move into hole 11, 1,145-foot par 5. A few gaps to choose from off of the tee. You can see backhand power shots. You can see backhand rollers. You can see forehand flex shots. Just get as much distance as you can. There's a second tree line that you'd ideally like to pass on your first shot. Then you've got room to bomb it as far as your body will let you.
Yeah, absolutely. Just kind of a dream hole. And if you get the opportunity to play Glendoveer, I hope it's on a day as sunny as this. You could see Mount St. Helens snow-capped just to the right of the tee.
Yeah, best view on the course right here with that snow-capped mountain. You can almost see it back there in the background, right where Drew's disc is heading.
Drew Gibson absolutely smoking this shot up the right side. This is gorgeous. He needs to finish back to the left a little bit, as there is another mandatory in the second tree line. Carter Ahrens looks like he's lining up something towards the left side. And he's going to lay down a roller, landing pretty late on some cut. There's an out-of-bounds line to the left, but I believe this has the flippiness to burn over.
Yeah, that OB line left starts pretty late on the fairway, but not even close to it either way. Does get around that second tree line, going to have all the room he needs for a big bomb second shot. Looks like James might be lining up a wide roller as well.
Just an air shot, I think. And we'll see where that landed. Harris kind of in no man's land. Going to have to throw through a gap at speed. And as this breaks down the fairway, there's so much room out there for disc to just fly and run forever.
And he has found it. Although he stayed close to the trees, he got all of that air. Going to be in position to get up and down for the birdie. As far downhill as this is, this hole does play pretty easy to reach for 1,150 feet.
Yeah, absolutely. And doing work on your second shot is critical. Basket kind of nestled back behind several clusters of trees and a little bit of a skippy green, so you don't want to be taking a ton of speed into it.
Carter's got the opportunity to reach it from where his drive got to.
And runs out to the left a little bit, but easy putter approach now. Gibson, this is kind of his specialty. Smashing a disc on some hyzer for it to flip over and ride.
And needs it to keep riding just a bit. Oh, and he is going to catch that cluster of trees there. Not out of position for a birdie at all. Going to be a pretty easy pitch up, but you know he's looking to card the eagle there. As Alden, using some nice angles, going to slide himself well inside the circle.
Yeah, such a good spinny boy with those late finishing backhands.
And look at the way that James threw that. All wrist. He didn't extend his elbow until after the disc was released. It's pretty interesting to see him control his distance that way. Go back and look at that again.
Gibson from a funny stance, going to get a park job and a birdie for his efforts. Nicely done. And Ahrens with just a jump putt approach. Our chase card making quick work of hole 11.
As they should. Did play as the fourth easiest hole on the course. 49% of the field carding a birdie and 41% taking a par. No eagles today, though. I thought we might see one.
Yeah, potentially a couple chances with full flights. But I think this is the kind of hole that nobody in the field is complaining about. Good score separation, fun to throw, rewarded when you throw good shots.
And our entire card here was rewarded as they're all going to get a birdie, and we got our first diamond.
Hole 12, a par 3 at 370 feet. Playing down a little valley, there's a mandatory that forces you to go to the left of it. And then running back uphill with a low ceiling. Roller's popular play, as is a backhand force over to finish straight.
Yeah, if you watch the front nine, hole 3 is very similar to this, but there's a lot more trees. I feel like this one is harder still, just the way that it shapes with the low ceiling and the high floor eventually as you get out late.
Harris gets the distance but doesn't measure his cut quite correctly, and will be pin high about 70 to the left. I think this is going to be a full air shot by Drew.
Again, almost going down. But similar to hole 3, he's going to shoot past it a little bit. Looks to be right around circle's edge. Going to have a nice look for birdie.
Carter with a full swing, testing the ceiling. I think he's going fairway, which is kind of a mistake. I know he's got the distance to do that, but easier to get your distance without testing the ceiling with a driver. I say as Proctor also lining up a fairway.
Yeah, but has definitely overturned that. I was looking to be an air shot. And more reason to throw a driver.
If it was a roller, you can correct us, but you didn't do that well either, James. Couple little approach pitches coming. And Alden Harris trying to take a poke, but difficult to do that with the low ceiling. Ahrens framed up nicely for a little half throw.
And a little half bid he gave it. Maybe hoping it would float. Drew Gibson needs to get this one up. And he was thinking the same thing. Man, that's frustrating.
Yeah, the frustration continuing for Drew. If he could get the biscuit in the basket, he'd have a real special round going at this point. But everybody now going to have to settle for some pars on hole 12.
So on the last course after hole 12, you got a nice ride up to hole 13. This walk isn't quite as long, but up is still very relevant. I feel like we could have got some carts here for us.
Turn around and watch Mount St. Helens on your way up.
Yeah, work your front leg muscles, walk backwards. We are up at hole 13, 455-foot par 3. Not my favorite style of par 3, as late in the hole you've kind of got a scatter plot of trees. You can pick a gap off the tee, but mainly that's just for your aiming point. Once you get up there, maybe you'll get through.
Yeah, the first 80% of the hole is skill, and the last 20% or so luck. Likely to see 4 overstable backhands trying to push the right side and make that scatter plot as narrow as possible.
Tree kick number 1.
And a little bit difficult to manage this right to left wind, as it's going to smash your wing down when it's on Anheuser and then pick it up when it gets back to hyzer. Gibson trying to follow that shot, get his distance, and then let the wind take it the rest of the way back in. But gonna be long.
Yeah, he doesn't like that scatter plot of trees either. He's just going to avoid them altogether, throw off to the right side.
Carter playing for a hyzer flip, I think, but this is just going to go straight left.
Tree kick number 2.
Proctor also going with a little hyzer flip and does hit a gap.
Tree kick number 3. A later tree than the first 2, so should put him inside circle 2, but still didn't quite reach this green.
Alden trying to steal a birdie from the course, but just going to have to settle for another par. Ahrens puts it to the heavens, but that trails left. And Drew's out here now having to throw a little Anheuser putt. It's difficult to deal with in the wind. And Proctor from mid C2.
Oh, and wind immediately got a hold of that one. Did not let it fly. Looks like we've got another opportunity for a bunch of pars.
Interested to see that Proctor went with the jump on that. He's usually been pretty static, I think, from circle 2. Maybe with a straight tailwind, selects a different approach.
Yeah, 22% of the field able to get a birdie today. That's maybe a bit more than you would think.
At 455, a touch uphill.
Yeah.
But I think the par stat is the real kicker on the hole, huh?
Yeah, 75% of the field going to take that par.
Drew showing how to get your disc out of the basket. Hole 14, I really like this hole. Line down the right. Line down the right side. I knew there was going to be a dissenting opinion. OB on the left side as well, and then up near the basket and a hazard. Difficult to access this green cleanly, though. That's the part I don't really care for. Another scatter plot. Therefore, we're going to see 4 backhand turnover shots or force overs, possibly a roller from Harris, and then have to be attacking the green on your second in order to birdie.
Yeah, and the only way to really get the distance to be able to attack the green on your second is with this backhand turnover. He's going to be over on the left side, but not right up on a tree, so shouldn't be too out of position. Forehand shots may look like a good option here, but they are a good option for par, as it's very difficult to travel all this distance when you're just kind of spiking back in. Still going to leave you 450 feet or so at the best you can get. Very good shot from Drew there, bouncing back out of the trees.
Yeah, got full flight. He actually was going to track it back left into the junk, but stays in the fairway. Ahrens, pretty good correction, but also fading out, and finds the out of bounds to the left.
Yeah, although it's not a good thing, that's impressive in itself to travel that far right and then still fade out to find the OB.
Yeah, I think they're both trying to use an overstable disc to maximize their glide. Proctor goes straight and has gone nose up, also fading to the left. This is kind of a double penalty area, because if you do find that out of bounds, you're also in the trees. You have to pick a gap to be able to throw a full swing, whereas Gibson is in the clear.
Yeah, so off of this tee pad, it's kind of right to left wind, and as you turn the corner, it kind of turned into a headwind. So I believe that's why we saw all that overstable play. The OB on the right can come in pretty quickly off of the tee if you turn it over too much.
Harris gets the green flag, even though he was kind of pushing the hazard bunker. And Drew going to be able to swing a hyzer out to the right. Objective being get your distance and then move left. Don't be throwing directly into the trees. And nice backboard. He will be inside the circle for a birdie look.
Yeah, it looked like a good late tree there. Carter, like you said, gonna have to deal with some of those big firs over here on the left, but navigates those well. Needs this to keep moving right.
And I'm not sure that was a positive or negative. That could have tracked left towards the out of bounds again. Harris going to swing from the right side and hits a tree on his way in. Where is this going?
Oh my goodness. If this is why you really want to attack the green excuse me, attack the green on your second shot, is again kind of this scatter plot of trees right here. If you're 100 feet out, it's kind of difficult to hit a gap. They're pretty small.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe I'll amend my statement as Harris with a huge knockdown to save his par. I'll amend my statement to say I like the idea of this hole. It's a good two-shot hole that is pretty aesthetically pleasing. You know when you've thrown a good shot.
And what a stepper there on that rewind. If you take a look, he's lifting up his back foot the entire time to stay out of that bunker. Great stance, great putt there from Alden. And not to be outdone, Carter says, I'm going to get my par as well.
Yeah, tell you what, that's not how you draw it up, but nicely done, boys.
Yeah. Second hardest hole on the course today. 33% with a bogey or above. Drew gonna card a birdie though.
Gotta imagine a lot of those are people going out of bounds right, trying to be too aggressive off the tee, or going left, making the same mistake that our card had.
A bit of a change of pace here for hole 15. 335-foot par 3. You've got the flight the path that the drone is flying, and then you've also got kind of a forehand flex shot off to the left side, but you've got to make sure it's stable enough because there is some OB that comes into play late by the basket.
I think that counterclockwise spin is the best shot if you have it. Proctor's probably the only one who would consider doing so. Everybody else very backhand dominant. Gibson gets knocked down mid-fairway. Wasn't flipping up quite enough. Harris tracking the same direction.
Oh, yeah. Almost got the flip up early enough, but just not quite. And this hole, is this a thumber?
I love to see it.
High thumber. Rather, I thought we might see kind of a low screaming skipping thumber, but does go up, ends up finding some of those firs up there. And James going to go with the backhand as well. This is not something that you'll hear me say too often, but this is kind of a double lefty hole, as the gap that this group is taking is easier to hit as a left-handed backhand the way that the trees line up. Although it is straight, it shapes up slightly better for the lefty backhand. James does not care. Going to go ahead and pipe it down the middle. Let us see another just dead straight shot here from James.
Hyzer release, slow flip up, and then the ground scooch for the kicker. Get himself a whisker tickler.
I'm gonna clap right here for that one too.
Oh,
that
yeah,
was great.
Yeah. Good gallery out there. We know they clapped for it. Love to see the hootin' and holler in Portland showing out. Gibson to the forehand for his approach shot. And That's a pretty favorable gap over there. Will need a little love on the way in, and he's inside the circle, but has some work to do to save par.
Yeah, should be open, though. I think he's got a clean putt from there.
And Harris, good speed check on the end. And Drew able to convert to save his par.
Yeah, this is kind of the ones you do feel like you want to get. That's not something I think I've said at all this weekend. Is you feel like you want to get one, but 46% of the field did take birdie. 46% of the field also took a par. That's a lot of birdies.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised at that. I thought it would be harder to access. Little peek behind the curtain. Sometimes it's difficult in our prep to run down all the options in time. Hole 16, no exception. You can throw roller out to the left, roller up the middle, backhand up the middle, backhand down the right side. Forehands are in play. It's whatever players are most comfortable with. There's 3 gap options initially, playing into a little bit of a headwind today. Proctor taking the up the middle gap, but this is just burned low immediately.
Yeah, and I really like that backhand hyzer gap out to the right side. That looks the most open to me. You can get a little more height on it if you hit, this one that Drew is going through right now. I think you want a little more height so you can get a little faster movement back to the left, but a great line there.
Yeah, definitely the most open, definitely the most reliable to get yourself 80% of the way to the hole. However, the skip's a little unreliable. Harris, once again going with a roller. This is the up the middle type play. But as this will, it burns out to the right. Get himself an outside look at a putt.
Yeah, pretty common from that disc is kind of burning out early. I wonder.
He's probably used it quite a bit the last few weeks as we've played some big open courses that desire rollers. Good shape from Ahrens as Proctor fading out early with the zone, but does check to the bullseye.
Drew with a long look here. Still just not quite on line. Also just maybe a step or so outside circle 2.
And I really like the nose angle control from Alden Harris, playing it nose up to take the speed off it. Ends up half an inch low, as Aaron's also going to do that from another funny straddle stance.
Another one of those holes you can get a lot of the way there, but very difficult to access this green. 73% of the field carding a par.
And just that 1% parked, I see. Proctor in for his par. Everybody else likely to do the same.
There you have it. Lots of gray down there on our scorecard right now. Hole 17, 830-foot par 4. You'd like to get past these trees somewhere into this area where you're going to have 400 feet or so into the green. Scatter plot of trees. Here we go again. If you get off to the right side, I suppose there is that right-handed backhand hyzer in, but kind of difficult to access that. You have to be in a pretty specific spot.
Yeah, there are a couple okay lines into here, but you need to make meaningful progress off the tee. Otherwise, you're kind of hucking and hoping. Proctor going for the cut roller play, which can work. Going to get some late stand up.
Wow.
And
stay out of there. Yeah.
Yeah, it does stay green. There are a couple bunkers on that left side. And Nathan, you noted that we're seeing a lot of gray on the scorecards. Par is not necessarily a bad score on any of these holes, really.
Yeah, you see all of these players drew just outside the top 10, but with all of these pars, everybody else right there inside that top 10 still.
And Gibson gonna find the hazard.
That hazard that he just went into is probably 500 feet, maybe a little more than that off of the tee.
And it seemed like the wind was holding rollers to the left, not really letting them come back over. Harris fading that way as well, but does stay green.
Yeah, that's the first bunker. That's a little bit shorter than where those, than where those rollers were getting to.
And smash coming from Carter Ahrens. Wind kind of wreaking havoc on it in the air and cutting to the left. There is a mandatory on the far left side, but he remains clear of it.
Yeah, so hasn't passed it yet, but is going to be... Oh, this is that hyzer I was talking about over on the right side. I guess you need to be almost missing the Mando on the left to open up that line.
That is not how Carter or I would game plan the hole. However, it was very effective and a well-executed second shot. Harris gonna play kind of a medium right side shot and taps one of the late pines, probably about 100 feet out from the bucket.
Yeah, so it looks like Drew actually is in that first bunker right there. So not going to be that 300 foot or so in. Going to have a little more than that. Still catching some of those trees.
Proctor close enough to throw mid or putter on his second. And trying to play flip up. Does so successfully, getting into the green and at circle one.
Yeah, that's a pretty tiny gap that he just hit. Impressive to see him do that and get up there.
Harris with a little step approach. Proctor for bird, which means Carter's even closer. And squeaks in to move himself to 6 under, 17 overall.
Yeah, and like you said, par not a bad thing out here. He's done that on every hole that he didn't birdie besides one, just one bogey on the round. Carter Ahrens now trying to get to 3 down after a good par stretch. And gives that a good stare as it tried to sneak out the back, but stays in there.
Really good showing for Carter Ahrens, sticking around on this chase card in a tie for 6th right now. Alden Harris knocks in his par also. And hole 18, our final hole of the day, another 4-digit, 1,000 feet, par 5. You have to clear this pond. It's about 430 to the far side, and then there's out of bounds down the entire left. A mandatory bisects the hole, and then out of bounds on the right side as well. Elevated basket with a large tree at circle's edge, really preventing sloppy shots from coming in, moving left to right.
Yeah, and a new tee pad this year. They've cut back in. Made us a bit of a gap here off of the tee. Got some space over on the left side of that OB water carry that you have to fade out a bit early. Most of these players are going to go farther than the water either way.
Proctor trying to use that bubble on the left side. This is leaking a little bit.
But there's that bubble. Widens out, as you could see, right where he landed at, giving you a little bit of space. Maybe trying to invite that opportunity for a big second shot and maybe get an eagle to finish.
Yeah, potentially. I really like that bubble concept from course designers because they're giving you a clear landing zone, not just making it straight the whole way down. Ahrens, straighter play, does clear, but somewhere around 600 to the bucket. We'll see how aggressive he elects to be on his second. Harris with the hyzer release, flattens up, and then going to trail back to the left. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, well carried over the water. Out there close to a 450, 460 foot drive.
And I kind of sense the frustration from Drew just in his setup here. Like, this looks like he is going to full send this shot.
Yeah, that Mando might need to be a little scared right now.
And test the right side.
Oh, too
Little
much
tickle.
turn.
There is some out of bounds on the right as well. And Drew able to clear the pond, find the right side, but this is out of position. Has to go forehand, kind of slinging across the fairway in order to avoid the mandatory and the out of bounds.
Yeah, and not getting aggressive there. Very smart from Drew. It's not super skinny, but it is pretty skinny once you get past that Mando as far as how wide the fairway is. Can catch that OB quickly as Carter
making the critical error. Boosts off of the trees and goes hard left to the out of bounds.
Yeah, a bit unforced right there, I think. Didn't necessarily have to try to go that big.
Going big, though, is James Proctor.
Oh, and a kick the other way. He's almost got a tap-in eagle, but a kick behind that tree going to make it a bit difficult.
Yeah, now in circle 2, but really like the control and commitment to the hyzer flip.
Yeah, it's incredible how far that straight shot just went.
Mm-hmm. I think Proctor is one of the elite spinners in the game. Alden as well. You talk about a tap-in.
Yeah, that's a tap-in eagle.
Mm-hmm. Carter's fourth. Going to take a moment to really think about it, dial in the shot.
Yeah, absolutely able to get up and down for par here. He's put a good move on it and fades out just in time to miss that tree. Gonna have an opportunity right around circle's edge.
Drew's third. And this is going to track to the right and knock down by a branch.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that was going to come out or not. That may have been a good branch. Could have been tracking towards the OB on the right side.
So he will have to settle for par, finish his round at 2 under. Proctor for eagle.
Just a bit on the low side, starting to get a roll, but looks like it does curl around. Shouldn't leave too much trouble for still a nice birdie to finish.
And Carter cages out. Proctor in for his birdie. 7 down on the round, 18 overall, and that's going to bump him up to the lead card. We're sorry to see you go after 2 good rounds here on the Gatekeeper Media Chase card.
Carter, after being able to card the birdie on 17, gives it right back here on hole 18, finishes his round 2 under par, along with Drew Gibson. Alden Harris with a pretty strong finish, gonna tap in an eagle, tie himself with James Proctor.
And I like the crowd recognizing what they just saw there. Pretty cool to see that.
Yeah, they weren't cheering for that putt. They were cheering for those 2 shots they saw before that.
And take a look here. Adam Harris making a jump all the way up to the lead. Tomorrow we're going to have Alden Harris once again, Isaac Robinson, Ezra Aderhold, and Anthony Barella. A couple spinny guys and a couple power guys.
Yeah, Ezra and Anthony with the 8 down and 9 down, I believe, today. So shooting hot. Gonna look to do it again tomorrow out here at Glendoveer West. Thank you guys for Glendoveer East, excuse me. Thank you guys for joining in for our round 3 back 9 coverage. We look forward to showing you the 4th and final round tomorrow. For Andrew Fish, I'm Nathan Queen. We'll see you guys out there.